Hello. Uh, from now on, uh, I don't know what's going to be. I've decided that I had I have to change my plans concerning this YouTube thing, and um, I wanted to tell the story of Narc 2 and Narc 3 with more detail, but I found that it is very painful to do that, and I'm not there yet. And even if I get there, I don't really want to come back. So I decided to do, just to give you information, because I've been talking about these two monsters in all these videos, but my story is not complete. So I I uh, I have a need to give the information to you because it's incomplete, and for some comments that some viewers had uh, that some viewers wrote to me. Some things are not still clear, so maybe I'm going to be able to clear things up without suffering too much. And I have to tell you, uh, I've been watching for a long time the videos of my survivor friend Angela. And Angela, I have to tell you that you are very strong because of what you did. That only shows how strong you are. Because it's not easy to come here on YouTube and revisit all the hurt and tell it to others. Um, you did it. Angela did it. I just have to say thank you because it's not easy. You just click on a video, but sometimes we don't we can't imagine how hurtful it is to revisit all that thing. And I can't do that with all the detail that I was planning. So I'm going to just try to tell it. And minor hurts and episodes, I think I'm going to leave it for the future. While I'm talking about things, I'm going to remember and tell you all that. So Narc 2, it was 2003. We exchanged lots of emails, and then the Facebook thing came. I'm going to tell you everything I can concerning my intimacy, because I want to be of service to anyone out there, and I'm going to say some pretty intimate stuff because I try to think about it, but there's no other way to say the truth. There's no other way, and this thing, I've been involved in so many lies with these narcissists that I have to tell the truth, even though it's not pretty and maybe might be disconcerting to me or to you, but that's just how it is. And then, okay, it was in October 2012. It was a little bit after my birthday, I guess. She talked. She wrote to me in the open, because we were writing lots of suggestive things to each other, and the message behind that is that we liked each other. And then we she invited me to go to instant messaging, and then there she told me that she wanted to be objective at least once in her life. And she told me that she liked me very much. And I then told her that I liked her very much. And it was at that time a very emotional day for me. My heart was beating fast. I was like flying. I was not even on earth anymore. I was in love. And I remember going outside after this conversation on the internet, and my heart was beating fast, my breathing was fast. I was so happy. I said, man, I finally found the one. I'm gonna have a girlfriend that I like. Then she entered Facebook, and she sent me a request. I accepted it, and it all started going deeper and deeper. But the imbalances were showing from the beginning, although I trusted her with all my emotional power, and I never thought anything bad of her, so I opened myself. I told about my mental things, my psychological things, my emotional things, and I didn't ask back. And if I did ask something of her, it would have been, it was always evasive answers, short answers. So she almost never revealed any detail about herself and her life. And our conversations on Facebook went for I don't know, 2 months. And then, by the way, and then I told her, well, by the way, I wrote, she said, well, that means you want to be with me outside of Facebook? I said, yeah, of course. And then she said, we need to talk. The classic thing. Then we met at the university, and my world fell into pieces, because there she told me that she was married, and that she didn't tell me that she was married before because I haven't asked. Oh, you never asked about my personal life. And so I carried on with my life, and I thought that you would want to have only a relationship with me via Facebook. And I was very hurt, confused. When I came to my home, I spent days just in shock, because I was already in love with her, and I was at the same time rejected. And I told, man, I feel like a clown. And she said, no. But I felt like a clown. The thing is, I was already hooked. If you read Donna Anderson's work, that's what they do, okay? They hide. First, Donna Anderson always says that they hide that they are married. Second, they only reveal something or start to abuse you when you are hooked, not before you are hooked. So you are addicted to the narcissist because of your chemicals that change your brain. Everybody knows that, because of the passion thing. I don't think I need to repeat these things, because we are all very well educated people, we survivors of narc abuse. So I'm not gonna treat you anymore like as if you don't know these things. And I was in silence and on Facebook, and she did another thing the narcissists do. They rush into persuading you to make a decision. And you think she waited 1 week, 2 weeks for me to think about, oh, maybe I don't want to have conversations with her anymore because she's married? No. At the same day of that conversation, she wrote to me, oh, please don't stop writing to me. Uh, that things to do to play with my emotions so that I couldn't resist leaving the relationship after that very hurtful, painful revelation that she was married and that she couldn't have a relationship with me in real life. And then she carried me away with her talk, with her trash talk, okay? Narcissistic talk. Young man, innocent man, never had fallen in love in my life. Suddenly I was. And this is when you have relationships with romantic relationship with someone on Facebook, which is being getting more and more frequent nowadays. Uh, the chemical things that happen with you are the same, and they say it's even worse because you don't get in physical contact. So the power of the emotions, they last longer because you never get satisfied. So after I was hooked, I realized, because then if you were single like me, porn might be the only way that you try to fill that void that when you don't have any relationship with anyone. But the thing is, the power of passion and of an addiction, because even messaging is an addiction in itself, so you get entangled in a very destructive maze if you encounter a narcissist on Facebook and you fall for their romantic, it's called romantic friendship or emotional affair. It's very common. And I read once a book about it. It says it is a fantasy. So it is a very great way for the narcissist to be himself, which is nothing because he wants fantasize. He wants fantasy all the time because he can't cope with himself. So you know how I notice things going differently in my body, because I didn't need porn anymore, and the the orgasm that I reached. I remember there was one time that it was so intense. It was completely new to me because I guess we have lots of chemicals of pleasure in the brain, and when you orgasm everything is more intense, especially with the narcissist, that they need lots of stimulation which is unnatural, and they stimulate you. The chemicals that are released in our brains, they are even stronger than the natural falling in love thing. It is a trap, a very dangerous trap and sad trap. So I reached the point that in my emotions, and then in my emotional pleasure and my physical pleasure was very intense, and I didn't need porn anymore, and it was complete addiction. One more kind of addiction. And of course there were pictures, and the pictures are very stimulant on Facebook, so she could control me. Uh, so that's what I wanted to say. The orgasms were very intense, and at this point you are defenseless. You don't want to leave this relationship. And when the person sees, because I was not in favor of saying I love you or I like you. She made me do it. But when she did it back to me, it was insincere. She gave short answers. To say to me that she loved me on Facebook, I had to ask her. And she used to give evasive answers, just enough to keep me committed and not realize the crap that she was doing to me. And she persuaded me to say I like you, and then she persuaded me to say I love you. And then I said I am. After 3 months, man, maybe 4 months into this relationship, that I finally gave up and I said I am completely in love with you. That's when the abuse, the more overt part of the abuses started. And there were several episodes. One episode is when I recorded her voice at the university. She was talking to a teacher. And I recorded her voice talking to the teacher with the intention of showing her. But because I was in love with her, I just wanted to have something to listen to her voice, because we almost never met in person. It was always via Facebook. And anyway, her meetings with her in person were a piece of shit. She was a completely different person. On Facebook she was lovely, and in person she was aloof, cold. Uh, she used to sabotage the encounter because she always left fast, and she gave short answers. The conversation was a piece of shit. But because I was in love, everything was marvelous. And then I told her, listen, after a few days, I told her, listen, I recorded this to you. I want to show you. She got completely out of her mind. You are taking advantage of me, and it is very strange that you recorded me, and you are taking advantage of me. You just went there to take advantage of my knowledge, and you were treating me like an ambulant, how did she say? You are treating me like ambulant instruction. You are treating me like an ambulant knowledge. This was via Facebook, she wrote, and I was so hurt. These words hurt me so deep that I stopped writing. She stopped writing, and she gave me the silent treatment for a week. And I had to be the one to break this silent treatment. Another hurtful episode was when she told me, listen, we will talk I don't know, on midnight or at 1 a.m., okay? So I'll be here on Facebook. Will you be here? I said, okay, of course I'm gonna be here. I'd really love to talk to you in the small hours. And she didn't show up. I waited 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4, 5 a.m. She never showed up. I was waiting by the computer like an idiot. And the next day I asked her, listen, what happened that you didn't show up? I was mad. And she said, well, I just couldn't show up. And she expected me to accept this explanation. She expected me to accept this explanation like a clown, put my head down, and never talk about the subject again. I said, listen, this is very important to me. Why didn't you show up? Please tell me. I just couldn't show up. And this made me very angry. She didn't consider my feelings as important. In a typical narcissistic fashion, she didn't care about my feelings. So I said, well, you're not really going to tell me why you didn't show up? Because you know what, my friends? I was completely furious with jealousy. She has been furious with jealousy with me. And you know, the narcissists are the only ones who are allowed to be jealous of you, but you are not allowed to be jealous of the narcissist. I was completely jealous. I said, you're not going to tell me, so can I tell me what I think happened for you not to show up to talk to me on Facebook? And she said, okay. And then I said, well, I think you didn't show up because you were in an intimate moment with your husband and that didn't allow you to show up on your computer to talk to me. And she went crazy. Well, you created, you know, talking to my therapist, he said that to me. She said, okay, she thinks her science doesn't hurt. And also, she is creating monsters in your head and you try to get rid of those monsters, but she didn't cooperate. She didn't care. So I either had to ask, like I did, but I got abuse in return. There's always a price for asking a narcissist for clarification. Or you don't ask and you live your whole life with the monster in your head. And I asked and she wrote to me, of course, this is horrible. I am completely horrified. Of course this was not the case. Oh no, I am completely horrified. And you know nothing about nothing. And I wrote, well, that's why I'm asking, because I need to know. That arrogance. You know nothing about anything. She refused to give me an answer. And then the other day, she said, well, we will talk about this in person. I said, okay. And after 2 days, she just wrote to me on Facebook in a very rude manner. Are you there? Without even saying hello, good morning or whatever. And then I returned the rudeness. I said, I am. And then she said, we'll meet at the university at that place. And then we met, and it was one of the most hurtful bullying sessions I ever had in my life. We went inside my car, and she was like a monster. I should even keep this episode as a separate video because it is too painful. I don't want to get into that right now. But the whole tone of this conversation was rejection. I felt that by her words, I felt that our relationship was over. It was a veiled breakup. And also, she humiliated me for saying that to her, for asking what happened that you didn't show up. And I think you didn't show up because you were having sex with your husband. It's completely plausible because you make me jealous. You don't want to give me an answer. So what did you do to me? You created mistrust between us. And you know what? Completely classic behavior, because the narcissist wants you complete blind trust. He wants you to trust him blindly without deserving our trust, and you cannot trust him. He never trusts you. You have to trust the narcissist. The narcissist doesn't trust your explanations. The narcissist doesn't trust when you say, I didn't want to take advantage of you. I just recorded your voice because I am in love with you and I think your voice is beautiful. No. Okay, then came the discard bullying session again, which I'm going to tell in the future. It was very painful. And I was still writing my thesis. and I spent I had to write my thesis because the time was I was running out of time. I couldn't ask for an extension to write my thesis. And I was impaired for 4 months. I couldn't get back to my thesis because the narcissist destroyed my health. I had to write a doctorate thesis in like pronto, urgently. And the narcissist robbed me of 4 months of work because I was in pain. Emotional, psychological pain. Then I finally started to write again, and I had to change my supervisor because he was abusive and he didn't listen to me. Got another supervisor, which was Narc 3, which was a past supervisor of this Narc 2. So narcissists, they mingle, you know. And this Narc betrayed me. He made me think that he had read my work, my first chapter. Turns out he didn't read it. And he only revealed that in the day of my presentation, when I was defending the thesis. It was a fucking betrayal. And this Narc 3, I wrote, and it takes a lot of work to write a thesis. And you know what? My work was destroyed into pieces. I was humiliated. My work was discredited. I did it alone because he was abusive when I went to go to get his advice. He didn't talk to me. He used to talk to me with his body turned sideways. So he prepared this trap for me. And you know what he said in the day of my dissertation as a final blow? He said, "You made our entire program lose time." I am wounded today because of these words. Every 2 days I remember these words. He had the courage, the cruelty to say that I made them lose time. 4 years I made them lose time, while no teacher helped me. I did it all alone. And I made them lose time. They didn't have to work. They didn't have to lose too much time with me because they didn't want to. Then he comes with this lie and accuses me of doing what he did. This motherfucking narcissist. This doctor. And my friends, you watch my videos on YouTube. That is why I am so angry. Because I received horrible wounds for not only one, but 2 narcissists who destroyed first my emotional affective life and secondly my professional life in a space of 6 months. I was starting to recover from the Narc 2 when Narc 3 did the whole thing, destroyed what was left of me. That's why I'm angry. That's why I believe in God. But I am bitter and I think God forsake me. And I hope that this clarifies something about my story. I think that's enough for a video, and I'm going to tell some other things as I remember them. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your time.